What makes you think you deserve to live in $1 million penthouse? When Chase yelled that in front of everyone, I knew it was finally my turn to strike. My parents sat beside us in silence, as if suddenly realizing the favoritism they'd practiced for years was being dragged into the light. I didn't raise my voice, didn't explain, just laid out the facts they'd chosen to ignore one after another. Each one landed clean, leaving no room to dodge. Nobody ever spoke for me. So this time I spoke for myself. When I finished, Chase stood up, his legs buckling as he stumbled and knocked over his own glass. As if someone had ripped the floor out from under him for the first time, he realized that the privilege had been wrapped in all his life couldn't keep him standing in front of me. And in that moment, his disgrace became my beginning. 3 days earlier, Chase's voice had exploded through the living room. You really think you're better than me? The water glass in his hand nearly flew to the floor. I looked up at the brother I'd grown up with, my gaze cold and steady since he was 5. The entire family had orbited around him, protecting him, as if he were fragile porcelain. I had never received anything close to that. The room smelled of New Year's champagne. Silver balloons shimmered faintly on the wall, but all of it blurred into the background. The only focus was the three of us. You know, I said calmly, setting down my champagne, I've been invisible since I was 5. Mom Gail and Dad Marvin exchanged a stiff glance. Taylor stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching like she expected a chemical reaction to blow up any second. I pressed my lips together, lowered my voice, and let every word cut cleanly through the air. I earned my first real money on my own. Meanwhile, you enjoyed advantages you never fought for. Chase's lips trembled, his fingers gripping the table edge. You never need help from the family. You can handle everything, you're just lucky. No, Chase. I stood up slowly, locking my gaze on him like an unflinching beam of light. Luck is the result of effort. You think you were spoiled. Truth is you've never faced real pressure. Champagne rippled on the table, glasses chimed faintly, as if marking the beginning of our family confrontation. All my life I had been the overlooked one. We lived in a modest house in Woodbury. When Chase reached 5th grade, Mom and Dad sent him to St. Croix private school. He's sensitive, he needs security. I sat at the dinner table, rolling crumbs of toast between my fingers, calculating how I would manage if I needed new textbooks or tutoring. No one looked at me, no one cared. So I learned to handle everything myself. At 15, I got my first job at the corner cafe on Valley Creek, morning paper route, afternoon coffee shifts. I hid every dollar of pocket money in my savings account. By 17, I'd quietly saved $7,000 for college and whatever came after. Chase's life was the opposite. Weekend tutors, tennis lessons, summer camps, international trips. Every step he took, our parents cushioned my hard work. Never earned a glance. Birthdays, holidays, summers, the differences carved themselves into every season. His Sweet 16 was held at a country club with a DJ and a red Jeep as his gift. Mine was a second-hand laptop from Craigslist and a cramped couch with 4 friends eating pizza. It wasn't just unequal treatment, it was the difference between being seen and being invisible. That feeling planted the seeds of a very specific kind of revenge. In college, I earned a full scholarship and worked in the financial aid office. I learned every form, every loan detail. I helped classmates apply for grants, built budgets, and sharpened my ability to analyze and plan. Chase attended a different school. Whenever he struggled, our parents swooped in, changing his major, flying out to comfort him, paying extra fees. He never met real failure. I didn't complain, I just proved myself with action. My summer internship at a venture capital firm in Chicago had me analyzing pitch decks from dawn until night, building my own investment portfolio. I calculated every dollar precisely, and my returns grew each quarter. 3 years later, I became a VP, managing millions. My year-end bonus pushing my personal investments to $4 million. Meanwhile, after graduation, Chase jumped from job to job. Social media clips for a production house, retail, supervising part-time photography, coffee shop shifts, and eventually crashed on a friend's couch, living on monthly support from our parents. I had already learned real revenge is not impulsive, it's strategic. That New Year's, I moved to DC and signed the lease for $1 million penthouse. My windows faced the PTOIC, sunlight spilling through the floor-to-ceiling glass, minimalist furniture, everything designed for work and clarity. At the same time, Chase lost his last job due to budget cuts. His credit card debt spiked. His SUV was repossessed. Our parents downsized into a small apartment, and the Woodbury house was sold. I didn't call, didn't text, only handled board meetings, negotiations, investments, every step measured. When I dropped all of this at the family gathering, Chase's chair scraped violently. His glass crashed to the floor. He couldn't argue, anger and fear clashing with reality. My parents froze. Taylor was speechless. Uncle Lloyd looked straight at my parents and said, steady as stone, you never saw Shaina's work. Chase's screams and helplessness became the sharpest line in the entire evening. Glass shards scattered, champagne soaked the tablecloth. He had nowhere to run. And this time even our parents couldn't save him. I had already carried out my revenge. For the next 3 months I cut off all contact. I focused solely on my career. The venture fund I managed grew to $12 million with consistently rising returns. I traveled, negotiated, built partnerships, every step a result of years of discipline. Chase and my parents slipped deeper into hardship. I gained freedom. Chase tried calling, emailing, even showing up in DC. I didn't respond. Each attempt only added to his panic. My parents tried to talk me down, but my financial independence rendered their pleas powerless. I no longer needed their approval or their help. Eventually, Chase delivered Uber Eats on the other side of the city. My parents lived in a cramped Roseville apartment, juggling bills, and I sat by my penthouse window facing the PTOIC, reviewing reports, listening to the hum of the city, feeling the clean weight of peace and precision. I learned to take revenge through action, not emotion. My revenge was forcing them to face the fairness they had never given me, and now that confrontation hurt more than any words could. Chase was stunned, frightened, lost. My parents were remorseful, helpless, ashamed. I felt no pity, only clarity. As the New Year's fireworks burst again outside my window, I stood alone watching the city lights. Each flare reminded me, taking control of your life is the strongest revenge.